How's everybody doing today? How are you guys doing? I should say, how are the co-hosts doing as well? Considering we have such a long delay, it'll be a while before we see how they're doing.
We're doing fine too.
Xantar's dead.
Almost. Almost dead.
But only almost dead. Only mostly dead.
Yeah. Relatively dead.
Yeah, I'm gonna have David and Xantar keep you busy for just a minute, if you guys don't mind.
So how is everybody tonight? How's the weather like there in where you are, Zan?
I don't know today. I was told that it snowed today, but I've been off and not feeling fantastic, so I haven't even gone so far as to look outside.
Okay. Yeah, ours is like other than our ice storm, we it's been pretty normal since then. I think it
Yeah.
dipped down to -15.
Yeah, that big
On-
storm kind of shut down a good chunk of everything, didn't it, or something like
Yeah,
that?
we were. It was funny because I was talking to Adam Saturday night, and we were about to jump into League, and I said I'll just be 5 minutes, and then my power went out, and then it
Oh,
came
shit.
back on, and then it came back on Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was saying it's. I'm on the 26th floor, so it was good in the sense that we never really lost our heat because the heat just rose up through the building. But not being able to take the elevator and living on the 26th floor can be a little bit painful.
Yeah.
Good exercise, but painful. No, but there's some people still out there. Their power's still out now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been like 6 days for them. They're just showing the
Jeez.
local news.
That's rough.
Yeah.
And in the middle of winter, too.
Yeah, because they've really, like I said, I never really felt it because we never lost the heat so much because I'm in a big building. But yeah, definitely. Bill's saying that, yeah, you just got yours back on Monday. And yeah, but I know there's definitely some people out east that's like literally their house is just the same temperature as outside now.
Yikes.
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, so a lot of people they got warming stations and things like that. Plus, it's Toronto as well, so like we're not used to we're not used to much of any weather. Yeah, it was. I think at its height, I think it was 600,000 people without power, and in Toronto alone, it was 300,000, and it kind of hung around between 1 and 200,000 for a few days, and I think it's down to 40,000 now. So, yeah,
Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
no problem, Adam.
Had to take care of something real quick. So we expect this episode to be a little shorter than normal. It's kind of like our holiday episode. There wasn't too much in terms of news, but there was a new gameplay trailer. But I think, we all kind of got a chance to watch it. But we're going to get our first impressions, and then probably next week really dive into it with a little more analysis, if that makes sense, just for you in the chat room so you can kind of know why our show might be a little shorter than normal. What were you guys talking about when I was gone?
How many people watch the podcast?
Oh, our podcast?
800,000.
Oh,
Bill
at
heard.
least.
No, that's how many people who are without power in Ontario this week.
Man. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to get right in. If you guys can just make sure you have your Audacity ready.
Let me know.
Yes.
So we're going to start recording in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Nexus, the podcast for the heroes of Blizzard Entertainment.
Hello, heroes. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of The Nexus. I am your host, Adam Eastwood, and this week we got a little bit of new information about Blizzard's Hero of the Storm. But let me get my co-host in right away so we can start discussing it. Our lore-loving, time-altering gamer, David Troy.
Hi, everybody. Hello, chat room, and hello, everybody listening. Glad to talk to you here in this post-holiday podcast we've got for you.
And a co-host of Holy Shat, veteran mage, and MOBA support top lane. Oh, hold on, sorry. Did we lose him?
No, I think we're here.
Yep. We just heard everything be silent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try that again. Let's stop it.
Stop Audacity?
Yeah, let's just restart. Sorry, guys.
No, it's
No
all
problem.
good.
When
I just heard like a bunch of craziness in the background and was like, I think someone's dying.
No.
Which, are we online in the Twitch?
Yes.
Like, are we? We are? Okay, well, for some reason I'm showing offline. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm showing online. No, it
Okay.
was just the ice machine was going off.
Okay,
So
let me...
I thought I muted it and then came back and said Xantar, and then Xantar didn't answer, so I thought he was gone.
Yeah, no, you muted it and didn't come back.
yeah, we didn't hear you. Yeah.
This is why
Okay.
live shows are so much fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go ahead and try this one more time, guys. My fault. Let's go ahead into the start of the show.
Doing the countdown?
Oh,
Welcome.
almost forgot to count down. Oh, man. This is why holidays are crazy. Okay, so we're going to record in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Nexus, the podcast for the heroes of Blizzard Entertainment.
Hello, heroes. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of the Nexus. As usual, I am your host, Adam Eastwood, and this week Blizzard dropped a little bit of gameplay on us, so let's bring in the co-host so we can get to talking. Our first co-host, our lore-loving, time-altering gamer, David Troy.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Adam. Hi, Zan. Hi, everybody in the chat room and everybody listening. Krampus did not take me away this holiday season. I am here to sit down and talk a little Heroes of the Storm with you.
And our other host this week, also a co-host of Holy Shat, a veteran mage and MOBA support top lane, Xantar.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be back. I'm almost better, but still not 100%. But we got some new visual stuff to talk about, so it's going to be fun.
Yes, it's going to be a great time. Other than the new gameplay that we got to see, what did you guys do this week in gaming? I know holidays are upon us. You don't really get to play as much, but what have you guys been up to? David?
Well, not a whole lot. We actually had a power outage starting. We had a bit of an ice storm last weekend, so our power was out from Saturday through all the way to Tuesday. So I couldn't do much of any gaming during that time, and then that pretty much led right up to Christmas. I've been getting some Hearthstone in and kind of working on my Paladin deck at this point. Didn't really get a chance to do too much in terms of playing any League or playing any Warcraft this week.
And David, what have you been up to? Not David, Xantar, what have you been up to?
Just a lot of gaming as well. Spent a little bit of time with the family for the holidays, and just been playing a fair amount of PS4. A lot of League of Legends, of course, as always, and some new PlayStation 1 classics that I got for Christmas also. So pretty diverse week, but working on some more ranked on League, and that's been taking up the majority of the time.
Oh, very nice. I know I've been sick the last couple of days, so I haven't been to work, so I kind of spent a little more time gaming than I normally would have during this time of the year. I played a lot of League of Legends. I finally got up to level 20, which, for those of you who don't play League, basically once you hit level 30, you can start doing ranked like Xantar does. And so I'm getting there, slowly but surely.
Progress.
And I finally found like the hero that I'm sticking to. I'm jungling with Lee Sin. I think I'm doing pretty good. So we're gonna kick it right off into the news. If those of you haven't heard, there's some new gameplay out there. There's two different ones. There's one that is shoutcasted by Husky Starcraft and Dustin Browder, who's the lead game designer. And there's another one with just kind of gameplay where you can watch it, and they're actually telling people to kind of shoutcast their own and send it in. So we're gonna just kind of hit a couple quick points that we noticed while watching them. So really just our first impressions. We'll probably delve deeper analysis next week. I think we'll have a full crew next week, and we'll have a little more time to really watch it over. I'll probably watch it a couple times before I really can talk a lot about it. David, what was like your first impression when you were watching it?
I really, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, it was a lot of fun with the shoutcasting and actually seeing it with that. I thought the map was interesting. Obviously they put out a game that was a really interesting one, because if you haven't seen the game, essentially one of the teams looked like they were easily going to win, and another team tried a bit of an unorthodox strategy to basically take one of the objectives and work their way through with the I think the Grave Golem it's called, and come back and win. So it was an interesting match. I think it lasted about 20 minutes or so, which is right, what they're looking for the gameplay. I really liked the look of everything. One thing that kept jumping out to me was Stitches and his little chain thing, his chain attack, where that was something that really was noticeable, and I noticed that hero more than anything else. The only thing I felt seemed a little odd was maybe the leveling seemed to be really fast. They got up to, I think, almost level 20, or maybe even higher than level 20 by the end of it. I think one of them was even 21. And it's just, especially from the little experience I have with League, it just felt they leveled very, very fast. But I liked it. It looked really good.
I'd have to agree. The leveling did seem fast. I don't know if that's just a tuning thing or if that's what they expect leveling to be like. I mean, if you're aiming for that 25-minute match length, you do want people to be able to get to that level 20 in order to make sure they're getting those storm powers, playing with them, so it doesn't feel like you're always beating the game prior to getting them.
Yeah, I think what I mean, graphic-wise, those definitely jumped out at me a lot. I mean, the art style that they use for it is definitely very unique to Blizzard. The detail that they put in a lot of the textures are really, really impressive. So that was definitely something I appreciated. I agree the leveling felt a little odd, but I think it might just be because we are so used to League, where you have to work a fair amount harder to get those levels. So overall, it was pretty much what I was expecting. The showcasting was definitely fun, and the match felt like it basically delivered on the points that they had said that it was going to. So it was pretty well what I thought it would be.
Now with the leveling, with heroes, and I don't know if I'd heard anything specific in regards to that, but I know when you're playing League and you go up a level, you get an added power or an added bonus to one of your powers. Are they doing the same for heroes? Is that for every single level we're going to be adding something?
I think they are. I think I noticed early on, and this is why I said we might have to go back and rewatch some of it. So I think I saw early on they were using just a couple, like one ability, and then they were slowly adding the other abilities. I'm sure they're going to be making it so you can level up those abilities in kind of the way you want to. I think if they don't do it that way, you're taking away a kind of a staple of the genre. You definitely get your ultimates at level 10, and if you just get 3 abilities right off the bat, I think it kind of throws you into too much going on too early in a match.
Yeah, I'm just concerned in the one sense that, if you're getting 21 levels in a 20-minute match, it just seems like that's half the game is just you picking out the next ability that you want to get, kind of thing. Whereas, I mean, it doesn't seem like as large a percentage when you're playing League. It almost felt like it should have been 12 levels or 14 levels, and maybe you have your big break point at 7 or something like that. To me, I just thought that might have felt more natural.
Yeah, and I think this is a thing that they're going to be tuning. Like you said, they were leveling quick, but I mean that adds to the fast gameplay that they were talking about. I'll have to really rewatch it to kind of really pay attention to see how fast they're leveling in comparison to like the other games we've been playing.
Yeah, I mean, you figure they were probably leveling more than 1 level per minute, right? If they ended at 21 and it was about a 19.5-minute match, they were definitely leveling at least once per minute, and a little bit less than that.
That's true.
Might have to ask Rem when she's back, kind of what she thought the feel of it was like, and how the kind of leveling up each ability worked, since she got a chance to do it.
Yeah. Because from the gameplay, you actually saw a onlooker's view. You didn't actually see a specific player, which is something I want to see. Is the one player view, so you can see what they're doing during the game to kind of get the feel of what you'll be doing while you're playing. Xantar, other than the leveling that we talked about, was there anything that really stuck out to you while watching it?
Not really. I mean, like I said, the look was definitely one thing, but the abilities that the champions had, well, they had a lot of unique looks. As always, I could see a lot of parallels between, some champions that are in League of Legends, so I can definitely see where some inspiration was from with some of the abilities. But nothing really else kind of stood out as a surprise so much.
Mm-hmm. Were there any specific heroes that kind of stood out to you as being seemed a little powerful, or did they all seem like they were kind of giving it back and forth?
It seemed pretty balanced for the most part. I think if anything, the bits of maybe difference in that kind of tilt in power felt more just like better plays by one person than another. So it didn't so much feel like somebody was just auto attacking somebody and using abilities and they just melted. It felt a lot more like people were using things effectively, and if they were winning by a fair amount. So, I mean, it's really, really hard to kind of get a grasp on that until you're playing it. You can't really tell what's overpowered and what's not by watching it very well. But I didn't get there weren't any huge red flags for me, at least.
Yeah, I know the thing that really kind of stuck out to me in the game was it seemed like the battlegrounds were smaller. And I don't know if maybe you guys felt that way as well.
They had a small feel to them for sure.
Yeah, because it felt like they went from, either dying or on the, top lane to being right in the middle of the mid lane in combat, really quick and, just, there.
Yeah, it did. I mean, actually, yeah, it did really feel like that. It felt like your home area was like that the kind of the home areas were like half the map, essentially. That's what it felt like. The mid lane did not seem really long at all, and I guess maybe that's part and parcel of them wanting to keep them to short matches. But yeah, I mean, it did have a little bit of a claustrophobic feel to it. On the other hand, I mean, there was a lot of good, Stacks and Packs in our chat room was saying that a lot of this leveling was from a lot of team fighting, a lot of kill swaps, and I did see a lot of that in that match. It wasn't just farming minions or farming creeps or anything like that. There was a lot of action going on in that match, and if that may be something that they've designed it purposely to set up.
No, definitely. And in general, it was the entire battleground that stood out to me the most. Like I said, the size of it, the way that they were able to get behind their fortifications, and then you were basically in kind of like a safe zone. I thought that was interesting. There's no real reason to go and chase your enemy further into their area because you can't even get into it. What was a little different? Oh, the towers actually had ammo.
Yeah, that was something that jumped out to me as well. That there's a limit to the towers and that there's ammo, and that's something that's gonna definitely affect the strategy that goes into it. That you can't really just I don't know if you're going to be able to just turtle then and hide behind your towers in that case, because eventually it's. I'm not sure if did they mention if the ammo actually comes back after a while, or if once it's depleted it's gone.
Oh, it definitely looked like it regened, but I think it probably regened while out of combat from what I was telling, because there were definitely some towers that were really low that had 3 or 4 shots left in them, it looked like, and then the people came back and they were either back to full or significantly closer to the full than they were before. But it's definitely interesting to see how that's going to play out, if they're going to keep that or not, because like you said, there's no turtling. If the other team's keeps coming at you, you're going to have to do something to stop them. You can't just let it happen.
I think that might make snowballing a little bit more plausible, though, because if you are falling behind, turtling under a tower and kind of fighting under tower is a way that you can kind of make a comeback. So I'm without that, kind of that mechanic there. If that tower is not helping, I don't know. I'm interested to see more of that and see how it works out, because I don't know that I'm a huge fan of that.
And by snowballing, Zan, you mean essentially just once you fall behind, it just gets worse and worse?
Yeah, exactly. And like by the time they get to your your nexus or your base, if you're, if they're stomping you that much, you kind of have to turtle. And if you can't, then what's stopping the snowball from getting bigger and bigger?
Well, I think definitely from the match that they showed, I mean, a lot of the thrust that they were talking about was that, the one team looked like it was way far behind at first, and then they decided to just go on a totally different strategy, and that paid off for them. So I don't know if that's what they're pushing, is that, you don't have to turtle to come back. Do you think that's maybe what they're looking at pushing?
Well, I know that they're definitely looking at alternatives, but it seems weird to get rid of one of them. To kind of say, okay, well, absolutely, we want you to have different strategies that work, but to say, okay, your turrets have now run out of ammo and fighting under a tower is no longer beneficial for you, so that that way to kind of make a comeback is no longer an option. I don't know, I'll have to see more of it, but it seems like something that it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of like that comeback, I couldn't help but notice that it almost seemed like they put out this gameplay trailer after people asked them about how, the breakpoints would work and how if people fall behind, if they'd be able to come back up. It's like they really wanted to focus our attention on the fact that teams can fall behind and come back. It's almost not saying they, stacked the deck in one direction, but it really looked like they wanted to, they took the game that happened, so that way they could show the story of what could happen outside of just straight up, one team stomping over the other.
Oh yeah, I think they stacked the deck in one direction. But that's normal, right? They're not going to put out the most boring game that they've played in house in alpha. They're gonna put out something that's exciting. If you're going to show somebody who's never seen a football game before a football game, you're not going to show them the 6-3 grind fest. You're going to show them the 40-37 comeback game. So
Right.
they're obviously going to do that. But I think the one thing though was that it wasn't like a comeback just because in a boring way. You know what I mean? It did look like there was some strategy to it, and I do like the fact that they did show that.
It was fun to watch. It was also interesting just to see how the neutral mobs were going to play out, where we had a lot of questions about that early on, especially us in the show where we talked about is jungling going to be real, where it doesn't look like it's going to be the same as it was, but there is going to be the, hey, let's go kill these mobs. They're going to go ahead and push forward and really help us, especially the skeleton golem, who's just, on a rampage once they let him out, if the other team didn't contend him at all.
Now, one thing we talked about too last week, right, was that we were talking about the different maps and the custom maps and how they would play out from a spectator point of view for esports. Mm-hmm. What did you guys think?
I thought it was great.
I
liked how they had the tributes that you had to collect, so every now and then it almost forced a team fight. I liked that it brought kind of all the attention to one area for a little bit, but then it went back down into, the regular MOBA style battle.
For me, it didn't really feel a whole lot different than watching a professional league game, because there's a lot of fighting that happens back and forth in those as well. So it definitely felt, I guess, exactly how it should in terms of being capable of having that viewership in terms of it being an esport. So I definitely see the potential because I see a lot of parallels. So I think it's definitely something that down the road we'll see get some traction.
Now, did any of you guys have any last things you want to say about this before we kind of moved on?
Nothing for me.
I thought I did keep, I really kept an eye on the time because I was really interested just to see how, this idea of the 20-minute game, how would it feel? And it felt just about perfect to watch. I don't know if it would feel a little fast to play. And maybe it was just the whole leveling thing that I'm hung up on. but like, it did feel about the perfect amount of time to watch a match. I don't think I'd want to see anything much longer.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and we're going to head on into the Hero Spotlight.
This is the Hero Spotlight.
And like always, each week we take a look at just one hero and kind of center on what abilities they're rumored to have, as well as what we think of that hero. This week we're going to be talking about Valla, the Demon Hunter. Dave, what information do you have about lore from Valla?
Well, in terms of Valla herself, there's a nice short story, and I don't want to get into too many details about her specific character, just because it kind of ruins the short story, since that's pretty much where all of her lore comes from. But if you want to take a look, there's a nice short story at the Battle.net website called Hatred and Discipline that's based around her. In terms of demon hunters in general, it's from the Diablo franchise. Generally, their origins are, these are people who've lost their towns, lost their villages, lost their loved ones from attacks from demons. And, you know, some people break under that. Some people, you know, dedicate themselves to vengeance and form together into the Demon Hunter Order. These people are essentially vigilantes. They're people without a flag. They're people without a home. The main base of operations for the Demon Hunters is out of an area called the Dreadlands, because nobody really wants these people within their borders. They're too dangerous. They've trained themselves, basically dedicated themselves to the destruction of anything that comes out of the Burning Hells. They're definitely the masters of range combat. They know how to use longbows, you know, grenades. Their signature weapon is essentially the hand crossbow. The iconic picture of the Demon Hunter is, you know, the dual-wielding hand crossbows. Very cool look and feel to this class. They've sort of, just by their exposure to demons, they've basically kind of built up the inner willpower and strength to resist a lot of the corruption. What they do struggle with sometimes is that, you know, their burning drive for vengeance is always just this far away from overriding their discipline. And, you know, there are cases of demon hunters that essentially have, you know, lost it at some point and taken out the innocent as well as the demons that they're supposed to be going after, you know, and they're banished from the order and such. So it's a very cool looking class, and it's one that definitely will their abilities go right into tie right into the lore, because there's such an ideal range marksman type class.
The first one's yours.
Oh, sorry. And so then I'll jump right into it then in that case. Their passive ability is essentially when they're attacking an enemy, their attack speed will increase. So, and that's the whole idea of them, you know, being caught up in the battle with their opponents. And so, again, you know, just basically as long as they're always attacking, they can just, their speed will rise as well.
Mm-hmm. And an ability they have that is directly out of Diablo 3 is the Hungering Arrow, where Valla fires an arrow that will pierce her target enemy to hit 2 other targets. And if her target enemy is the only one within range, it will hit the remaining target twice instead of just once. And this is, I think, maybe the first ability you get as a Demon Hunter in Diablo 3, where you'll notice it, you know, it looks like it ricochets between, you know, different enemies. So it, like you said, builds right into the flavor of the Diablo 3 Demon Hunter.
They're going to have multi-shot as well, which is pretty simple in terms of what the ability is. So she quickly fires arrows towards the target direction, dealing damage in a cone area. So going to be really good in team fights or against groups of minions and creeps.
In terms of a movement ability, she's got the ability to vault. Essentially, she just somersaults towards the target location. And again, you know, especially for a range class, it's going to be very useful. You don't want to be in close with Stitches or the Lich King or anything like that. So it's going to give, you know, my favorite type of ability, just the get out of there fast ability. And also it adds to the whole idea of it, the Demon Hunter being really agile, you know, being that kind of, you know, leap around and also, you know, and quickly fire at their foes.
Mm-hmm. And when we're looking at her 2 heroic abilities, we're looking at the first one, Strafe, where Valla spins around, shooting at targets around her, but she can still move while spinning around. I can't help but think, I think it was Trinity in the Matrix when she takes out the two guns and she's spinning in a circle and hitting basically everything that's around. And then the second ability would be Reign of Vengeance, where she summons a Shadow Beast to fly down into an area, dealing damage and knocking enemies down. A little more control-based than, say, her Strafe ability, which is obviously be like a AoE damaging ability. What Xantar, what are your kind of first feelings on just kind of looking at the abilities that Valla will have?
Well, I mean, the thing that, I mean, they list her as an assassin character, but a lot of the abilities kind of, to me, seem a little bit more sustain-y. You know, like, she's very similar to, I don't know if you guys have gotten to play, but Vayne in League of Legends in terms of how she plays, but she seems like someone who's going to be that one that in a team fight you need somebody else kind of attacking anyone who's taking hits on her and making sure that she's able to deal damage out to a team, but is probably going to be pretty squishy and probably pretty easy to kill, in laning phases.
I know when I was first kind of talking with David about this hero, I felt like they could have done something different than Assassin with her. I felt they should have gone with the kind of a specialist model with her, especially with the changes they're talking about in D3, where they want to make it so she can almost set up like her own like encampment and then bring the demons into it and kind of lay waste to them there. I feel like they could have kind of built more on her traps, on her turrets, stuff like that.
Well, you know what they might do? They might bring in, as a champion, the assassin from Diablo 2 and kind of have maybe that be the kind of utility-based one that you're looking for.
That's true. I didn't even think of that one. I mean, you never
because it's going to open the door then to, a little bit more in terms of diversity, because they need a core amount of characters like this, like your damage dealers, and then I think utility champions are probably going to see what we might see be the come out as time goes on, so to speak, because they're probably going to be fairly advanced in terms of playstyle.
So are we saying that the assassin wouldn't be classified as an assassin?
Well, it's tough to say. It depends on her cooldowns, and it depends on her health and how much damage it does. Yeah. I can see this going both ways. I could see this being high damage and low or long cooldowns, so be kind of a little bit more bursty. And I could also see it being low cooldown and medium damage, so she's a little bit more sustained. And a little bit more of a marksman when it comes into, a little bit like our AD carries that we have in League. I kind of could see it fill that role as well.
Well, in the Q&A, for sure, I remember them mentioning something about that a cooldown talents wouldn't work. Or was that with the Demon Hunter or with Nova?
Well, with Nova, but...
That was with Nova, right?
But I would assume that that could be a blanket statement for most assassins, who, maybe their cooldowns are longer, so someone who, like Abathur, who needs that cooldown reduction to keep him, balanced with the rest because he is that specialist, they might not necessarily work with, like, Nova, but I would say, I haven't looked over Nova too much, but I would say Nova and Valla might have the same kind of, like, groundwork to their character, both being ranged assassin characters.
Right.
I would say it might turn out that she relies a lot on her basic attacks, like you said, kind of like an attack damage character who she kind of constantly pinging you for damage with her basic attacks, especially considering her passive builds up how fast she's able to attack with it. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see. You guys, I know the only skin that I've seen out there is the Vampire Hunter skin. What do you guys think of that one? I actually like it a little more than I like the regular skin, just because I like the look of it.
It'll probably be one that I'll pick up for sure, just because I like it a little bit more than the regular. Stands out a bit, and I love the hat.
Yeah, it's got like that Puritan looking hat or something, isn't it? Like it's got that kind of Van Helsing feel to it very much.
From what I remember at BlizzCon, it's kind of got it It's almost like a black mage hat, but kind of not. It's interesting, but yeah, from what I remember, I really like that one a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Trinity too, Adam, because that was also kind of I didn't know why I was thinking that, and then when you mentioned Trinity, I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm basing this look on. Like, again, because they can pretty much do any lore when it comes to the skins, like to have that kind of sleek look and dual wielding pistols or something like that. I could see that work really well with this character.
Oh yeah, it's almost if like they came out and did like a Matrix theme and gave like 3 heroes like a Matrix feel.
Yeah, like but especially for this one, I could see it working really well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how close they could get to that without running into other types of issues, but I think they could definitely get that feel. I don't think the Matrix copyrighted black outfits.
Yeah, well,
Right.
you can get pretty close because I know League of Legends. I was just messing around looking around at some of the skins, and I was surprised. They had one where, what's his name? Nunu. He's the Yeti rider. And his Yeti is basically Cookie Monster, and he is a
really?
grouch inside of a garbage can. So
Yeah.
they get pretty close to dead on, and I haven't heard any issues with that because I wonder if it's covered under the parody laws, where if it's done in parody, then you can't sue them.
I don't think we can go an episode now without mentioning a Muppet.
You are pretty much correct there. The Muppets are ingrained in our show.
We had to get them in there somewhere.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna see some of those sleek designs. I think they're probably gonna do a crossover where they're gonna do a StarCraft design where it's gonna be similar to that of like a Ghost, but with like the dual wielding pistol feel to it, because you still have to be, the agility type, so you can't have like the big bulky, what is it, the marine armor on her. Otherwise, that might throw off. Although who knows? They could do anything.
Do you think so though? No, I hate to restart the famous Kerrigan Ghost argument you guys had last time Rem was on. But I mean, do you think they'd go that close though to the Nova character?
Well, maybe not like color template wise. Maybe they'll keep the black and the reds in there, but make it look because they're gonna go and do StarCraft for most of the other heroes. They're gonna do World of Warcraft versions of most of the other heroes because that's what I think is gonna sell for some people, and maybe not go so close, but closer to a Ghost than say a Marine. Is kind of what I'm saying. Maybe somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of any there's the only types of skins I can think of that would be good alternatives for her are ones that have been used in League of Legends for alternative skins. So I can't think of anything that hasn't been done.
Oh, who is it in in the new Shadowfang Keep? Baron Ashbury or one of those. He dual wields the pistols.
Godfrey.
Lord Godfrey.
Oh, Lord Godfrey?
Yeah, almost like a Lord Godfrey look. Or maybe, just straight up say, hey, like we were talking before, where if they can't give him a separate, feel, they'll just kind of give a Lord Godfrey skin and say, hey, you're now playing Lord Godfrey instead of Valla, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he spins around and shoots at us all the time.
Right. That's true.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of good ideas out there. Lately I found myself really enjoying talking about what skins could come out.
It's definitely one of the things that I'm excited to see what some of their imagination's going to come up with. I'm sure that's probably their most fun part, too.
Yeah, and starting next week, I'm hoping, is we're going to actually have a skin section of the show. We just need to get some people to kind of throw some ideas. So, tweet us at the Nexus podcast with like ideas, just like a theme, like could be something like very broad, like like cartoons or 80s cartoons or something like, hey, what Star Wars skins could you imagine? I think Rem is on board with me. She really enjoys kind of talking about what ideas could be out there, and if we have like a week to think about it, I think we could come up with some good ideas.
Here's an interesting question, Adam. Do you think they get licensed, like actual licensed skins? Like, there's all types of synergies that could be out there. Would they have like actual Star Wars skins? Because I don't think League does that. But
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because I think you can get so close. Because you can get close enough to it that you get the idea without ever having to pay a cent. I mean, in League they do that constantly. I mean, they have a chosen master Yi, Samurai
Yeah.
Yi, and he looks just like a Jedi and has a lightsaber and it makes the sounds. So I don't think you'd ever really
He has
have.
a light sword. No.
Yeah. Yeah, like I couldn't imagine them ever having really a reason to. I mean, when you can get so close, without it'd just be a waste of money, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then DJ Bill Hype in the chat room is saying he wants a Commander Shepard skin for somebody. I think he said that on Twitter this week. He was like, that's all he was talking about. No.
That could be kind of cool, yeah. That could be something interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we've exhausted all of our ideas on skins and what we feel of Valla. We have the new hero segment as usual.
Heroes here, no heroes needed here, no heroes wanted.
Now this week we haven't really chosen a large topic to talk about. Just kind of two quick ideas just so people kind of understand when veteran players are talking about it. The first one that we're going to just kind of hit real quick are what are map objectives? Xantar, can you give people a quick rundown of what exactly people are talking about when they're talking about objectives and League of Legends?
So map objectives are going to be various things, but they're typically neutral creatures that are placed on the map that give you or your team bonus buffs or gold or experience. So in League of Legends, that means a couple of things. That means your Elder Lizard red buff, your Ancient Golem blue buff, and also your Dragon and Baron Nashor are kind of your creature objectives. And then you also have, of course, your turrets and your inhibitors and things like that, which are considered map objectives also.
Mm-hmm. And now when going into Heroes of the Storm, when people are talking objectives, I think they'll still be talking about those neutral creatures and getting them to fight on your side. But each map will have their own individual objectives, it seems like, where the Ravenlord map, you'll get the tributes. The Dragon Knight map, you'll do whatever you need to become the Dragon Knight. And the one with the pirates, you'll be collecting coins to give to Black Heart. Was that his name? I forget. Mm-hmm. So, I think that Heroes of the Storm is really trying to push objective-based combat a little further than we see in the current generation of MOBAs.
Now, as a pretty new player myself, you guys are much more familiar with the objectives. And to be honest, with the games that I've been playing in League, I really haven't worried about them too much. I've just been, concentrating on the fundamentals and getting my laning correct. I mean, how key is it to be jumping in and can you be a good team member really and really not have to worry about the objectives so much?
I mean, it depends on where you're playing at, because I mean, newer players of like yourself definitely don't really focus on objectives, and it's not really a key thing. When you get to kind of more your medium level players, all the way up to pro MLG and LCS level players, objectives are everything. Objectives are more important than kills, and a team can be down 5 to 10 kills, but if they've been winning objectives throughout the whole match, they are likely to win the game.
Oh, wow.
One of the things to kind of keep an eye on when it comes to objectives as a new player, just to get used to them, is I've been jungling a lot. I've been going in and killing the neutral monsters in the center. Well, first thing I do as a jungler is I go and I grab an objective. I kind of, right now I decide based on who's willing to help me. If the people in the top lane are willing to help me, I'll grab the objective in the top lane. Depends on what side you're on, which one it is. But so if you see someone kind of asking and saying, "Hey, you want to help me with the Golem or the Lizard King," just go and give them a hand, because as a jungler you kind of need one, maybe two people, especially at lower levels, to help you kill them quick, so that way they can just do their thing, and then you can go back and kind of go back to the what you're used to. It kind of gets you introduced into the objectives a little bit, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if David was
I think that
going to
covered
say
it.
anything. Sorry. So our other kind of concept that we're going to run to is something we've talked about, and I think a lot of people understand it, so we'll hit it really quick. But what exactly is a gank, Xantar?
So ganks, in essence, is when an enemy team coordinates to surprise you in lane. Usually, often when you're by yourself, or maybe with just one other person, with an ambush attack to secure a kill. This often occurs during laning phase, more often than not. So this is going to take a lot of map awareness to kind of prevent. So that means taking note, or having someone else on the map call out if someone leaves lane. And are roaming and are no longer visible, and if a bunch are missing, to be extra cautious, and possibly kind of hang tight around a tower for protection.
Mm-hmm. I'd say a lot of the ganks that happen, especially when they happen to me, is because I get too overconfident in my ability to kind of attack the enemy tower, because I'm like, oh, they're letting me push into them, the tower's there. It almost should be a trigger that, hey, there's somebody waiting around behind me, waiting for me to just get a little bit further up and ready to attack. As a jungler, it's kind of like partly your job to keep an eye out on who might be falling into that spot where they move too far forward and don't quite have enough health to really be doing it without having to worry about someone coming up behind them. So it's whenever anything seems too good to be true in terms of like pushing your lane forward, it's usually a good idea to kind of fall back a little bit just to kind of see how things play out. It is kind of what I've picked up.
And that's where you get into, knowing when to extend into a lane, when you're overextending and it's a bad idea, when you need to push a lane. If a jungler shows up in a different lane, well, what I'm probably going to do is try and push mine out, because I know he's not going to be in mine right away. And I'll try and put some damage down onto the tower. But if he hasn't been, seen for a while, I'm probably much less likely to, overextend past, the point in which, I've set up vision to protect myself in case he shows up. Because if I've set up vision, then I can see him, before he gets into the lane, so I can kind of fall back. But if I don't have that vision set up, or I overextend past my vision, then I'm opening up myself up to be flanked or to be hit from the side.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say real quick, as a new player, I think Xantar hit on it real quick, but I really want to point it out is if you're in lane and you're 2v2 in the lane and it seems like it's been a while since you've seen one of their players, make sure you let everybody be aware of that, because that's going to help prevent a gank outside of your lane, because that means that person's somewhere looking to do something bad to your team.
Now, one thing, as a World of Warcraft player, ganking, it doesn't have the most positive connotation within the MMO space. In the MOBA space, I would assume then there's not really a negative connotation. It's just part of playing the game, right?
I would say that, yes, it's part of playing the game, but it's still negative.
Really?
When you get ganked, you still get angry that it happened, because usually, and I say usually because, I guess because you can prevent them. Usually there's a way of trying to prevent it, whether it's putting down your, like as Xantar said, visions. That way because you should know kind of where they're going to be coming from, or someone could have said something, like I said, to warn you that somebody's missing. So usually there's something that could have been done to help prevent it. So it still gets that real frustrated, like, oh, how did I fall for that again? Feeling.
Well, and even in a MOBA or in an MMO, ganks aren't really a good or a bad thing. It's just somebody killing you with the element of surprise. That's all it is in a MOBA as well. And, in both of those settings, often there's things you can do to prevent it. It's just situational awareness, and in, MOBAs generally more map awareness that can help prevent that. And often especially when you're new to it, you'll find that you'll get caught off guard by, people that have been playing, these a little bit more, because people that have been playing will often, maybe notice who has and hasn't been based on how they're playing. And, you likely may be a target because you may be somebody that's easy to kill because by inexperience, you're overextending in the lane, making it, if I'm the jungler, to say, well, hey, here's this low-hanging fruit. Of course, I'm probably going to take it.
So friends don't let friends get ganked.
That's right.
All right. Gotcha.
Pretty much. Now, we're going to go ahead and just move on to the questions. We did get one question this week. One new question this week, and we're going to go ahead and answer that for them.
Questions.
Okay, so our question this week comes from Stacks and Packs. He said, what did you all think of Murden and the new gameplay Blizzard released? Either of you two have anything to say about Murden?
I did hear him get mentioned. I didn't, honestly, I didn't get a chance. I like the fact that he's there. I think that's kind of cool. I wasn't necessarily aware that he was going to be, at least at this stage of the testing. I was kind of, I didn't really see a whole lot of them, though. That was the one thing for me in terms of the gameplay that what didn't jump out to me is a little bit what jumped out to me. And that was that I didn't see a lot of really unique stuff. I saw Stitches and that chain attack really jumped out at me. Definitely Falstad because they focused on him. And, you know, they did talk about Uther a little bit. I didn't see anything, you know, from a gameplay perspective, too much about Murden that really jumped out at me to say, okay, that's definitely Murden.
I agree with you 100%. Actually, up until the recording of this show, I had Murden completely confused with Falstad because I don't know, during the thing they seemed to center on like 2 or 3 of the heroes, and Murden really wasn't one of them. You'd see him kind of come in and hit people with this hammer, and in my head, even during the fights, I was like, oh look, here comes Falstad. You know, it's like even though I know Falstad is on a Griffin, he didn't really stick out. He didn't have any like cool ability that really showed off what he's going to be capable of once we get a handle at playing him. In fact, I was going to say, the one thing I noticed about him was how strong that lightning attack seemed, and then I was like, oh wait, that's Falstad. So I think Murden, who else was there?
Nova was there.
Nova seemed pretty cool because they centered on her a little bit, kind of showing how she was invisible. You know, she was able to take out that one person because she was cloaked and then kind of surprise them. But Murden didn't stand out at all, I don't think, unfortunately. I kind of was hoping for more from him, especially once I got this question. I kind of looked back a little bit after I realized I wasn't talking about Falstad.
I like the fact he's there, though, that they're not just doing, okay, Falstad's your dwarf kind of thing. Like, that they are actually, like, you know, bringing in characters and not just having, you know, one iconic one for each race.
Mm-hmm. I also like the fact that we're seeing in the gameplay trailer more heroes that weren't officially announced.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big thing. I'm going to watch the second gameplay trailer. I'm hoping they kind of show somebody else. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Siege Engine myself. Siege Tank, of all the ones that I've kind of heard the rumors about, and just to kind of see how that one works.
For that second gameplay trailer, they've kind of invited everybody to kind of do their own shoutcast for it, right?
Yes.
From what I was reading on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Rem might be interested in doing that. If you guys want, I think we're gonna try and get together and do one as like as a podcast, as I think just for fun, put it up and see what we can do.
I can be the sideline reporter.
It's like David Troy now with the interview on Murden.
Which is just me doing a bunch of bad accents, basically.
Yes. So with that, we're gonna complete our show for this week. I want to thank everybody for listening, for everyone for coming live. Anything you guys want to pimp out, let people know you're doing in either podcasting, gaming, anything?
Well, I've got some articles that were supposed to go up last week, and I mentioned on last week's podcast that'll be going up this week at blizzmaster.com since I was without power for most of the week. So it's basically the same thing as last week. But if you do want to reach me on Twitter, I'm at BrillanCTR, BRILLAANCTR.
Mm-hmm. And Xantar, what have you been up to?
Just a lot of League, like I've been saying. And so I'm gonna be. I've had some issues with my stream on Twitch, so I haven't had much chance to kind of put some time in there. Not to mention being sick beyond all belief. But I'm gonna be back on Twitch right away here. So you can find me on twitch.tv/thezantar. That's with an X. Or if you want to chat about pretty much anything video game or even non-video game related, I am on Twitter constantly, and you can find me at Twitter at @thezantar.
And you can reach me at Geek of Random or just directly at the show at the Nexus Podcast. We do take emails at show@heroesofthenexus.com. Send us your questions. Send us, theme ideas that you want us to kind of come up with some skins. We're just looking to have some fun on the show while we wait for some sort of beta or some information. I did notice that it seems like Blizzard is trying to put something out each week over the last 2 weeks. Hopefully that continues so we have stuff to talk about. You can find us all over the internet. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and the Windows Marketplace. For those of you who listen to our podcast, you can come visit us live on Fridays at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard, which is 7 Pacific, at twitch.tv/Heroes of the Nexus. I want to let everybody know that we have a Blizzmaster coordinated weight loss challenge kind of going on. It's called Get Buffed, the World of Warcraft Weight Loss Challenge, where it's going to feature me, Agathon from Agathon's Rage Bar, Navox from That Random Geekcast, and Cage of Hell from Blizzmaster, the Blizzmaster show. A few other people that, if they're interested, basically there'll be a chance to win a Warlords of Draenor Collector's Edition in there if you want to join. If you have any questions, you can either tweet me or you can tweet Agathon at Agathon. That's AGGATHON. We're also looking for more people that are interested in Blizzmaster Team Gaming. Come to our website, email us, let us know what you want. And as usual, come ahead and come to the website, heroesofthenext.com, and visit our forums. We're a little low on people on the forum, so we want people to come and talk Heroes of the Storm, especially with the gameplay release. I want to thank everybody for listening or stopping by. You guys all have a great week and a Happy New Year at this point, because by the time we talk to you next, it will be 2014.
I can't even handle it. We'll be coming from the future.
Yes.
The next podcast we do will be in the same year that Heroes of the Storm will come out.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's deep.
I can't even handle this.
Have a great weekend. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
And stop.
Okay.
Well, I feel like the end of the show is just full of announcements now. It's like we have 40 minutes of show and 20 minutes of stuff to say about Blizzmaster and everything that we're up to.
Oh, it wasn't that long.
No, I know.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Oh, we thought it'd be a short show. Where you're still 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So
that's because we have our tangents. we tangent about skins like every episode. I feel like.
Well, it's a surprisingly big part about it all.
It's a lot of fun to talk about. That's the thing. It's like, hey, what are we going to see? Especially without having so much in terms of gameplay and everything, that we can actually get our hands on and play. That's like the one thing that we can say, hey, this is what we would like to see,
Yeah, I think what it is. It's the most fun part to speculate on.
Yeah.
Really, right? It's like when you hear someone's cast for the Warcraft movie. It's like that's more fun to say, oh, who are they going to play, rather than like, oh, I wonder who's going to do their sound design, or I wonder who's going to distribute the movie. It's like, it's just the skins are that part that's just like a lot of fun.
Are they going to, what type of weapon is Zeraton going to use?
Yeah.
How powerful is his weapon going to be?
Yeah, because that's an interesting thing, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, just to get off on another tangent. Because I assume, once these movies are going to come out, that they'll be tying that into Heroes. Mm-hmm. Like, what does... I guess we'll find out in the expansion in Warlords, but Durotan doesn't really have, like, an iconic weapon.
No.
Right?
He has a kind of the iconic look where he's like... He's the... the non-green...
Durotan, I believe... Wasn't he handed the Doomhammer first?
No, Orgrim has it still at that point.
Oh, that's right.
Orgrim gives it the Thrall.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, I thought it went to him, then it went to Thrall, but yeah.
Yeah. And Grom's got the axe, Gorhau, right?
Yep. And that's passed down from his father, technically.
Yeah.
You know, in a weird way, because I think Thrall ended up with it and then gave it to him.
I guess Thrall just put it in the closet. Till Burning Crusade.
Yeah, pretty much. No, it'll be interesting. You know that we're gonna probably get depending on release time. When I bet you what they're gonna do is in these collector editions, you always get something for the other games coming out. I wouldn't be surprised to see if like the Warlords of Draenor either comes with like a hero or with like a hero skin now. You know, in all
I think a
the collector's
skin would
edition.
make a lot of sense. A skin, I think, yeah, I could see that. It's like the equivalent of a pet, right? Getting a pet for WoW.
Yeah, but you know, with Warlords, they might be like, hey, let's give them Durton.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm really interested to see with Warlords what they do, considering story wise for the long term of the expansion. It's like, all right, well, what's going to happen once we've dealt with the Warlords?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Like
the
it
thing.
seems like there's a lot, like that's pretty simple. Like there's got to be more to it, like that we don't know yet.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
I have
I've been
no idea
wrestling
what it could
with that.
be.
Yeah, I've been wrestling with that quite a bit too, because I'm kind of like, it seems like such a standalone expansion, right? Because like the whole idea is that it's not going to alter time or anything like that. So it's like, okay, it's our little space vacation on Draenor, and then we come back, and then the Legion attacks, or I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea where they're going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's going to lead into, what is it, finding out who opened up the portal for Garrosh and who helped him get out, which, you know, I think everyone's assuming it's going to be Raytheon. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
or whoever this timeless betrayer or whatever is.
Well, I think that's supposed to be the guy from the Timeless Isle, right?
Yeah, like
gonna say
whoever
Crassus,
that
but
ends
that's
up
not right.
being is probably going to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
I think it's supposed to be just like a fun orc vacation, basically, right? Like we're going, checking out all this stuff. It was so funny. I had to laugh. I was at Christmas, and my step nephew, I guess would be the right term. He's like 22, 23, and I was like, oh, what games do you play? And he's starting Dota 2, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, I know a little bit about MOBAs now. I can actually talk to it. And but the other thing he plays all the time is Warcraft 3.
Oh, cool. I like.
Yeah, I was like, you're not playing StarCraft or anything like that? He goes, no, we still all sit around and play Warcraft 3. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, Warcraft 3's got legs on it. I mean, people still love it.
Yeah.
What was I just looked up a Durton in the TCG. He just had a double-sided axe.
That still sounds kind of cool.
Yep, and then Draka, which is his wife, had like 2 axes. It looks pretty cool.
She sounds like she'd kick our butts more than him.
Man, it's gonna be fun. I bet you they're gonna have to release like all the Warlords at some point during the Warlord expansion. You know, in Heroes of the Storm, at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like they started off releasing, say, Durton, and then get all the other ones out there into Heroes by the time it's over. You know,
Yeah.
they're gonna cross promote this thing like a mother.
Well, that's the whole thing now. Like this is the most games they've had going on at any one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
In forever.
Yeah, it's crazy, really, if you think about it. I mean, they went from, and they still only have 3 properties, but the 3 properties will now have 5 active games being developed. Plus, they have that next gen, you know. Titan. I'm like, you know, so many other games have come out. I'm starting to forget all about Titan, which is maybe what they're trying to do is get people to forget about the one that they're not quite sure on.
Well, do you think that's still a thing? That like Titan's still something viable at this point?
I think it is, but I think they've scrapped it and kind of restarted. I don't think they've kind of given up on it.
With what?
Titan.
Oh no, they said that they scrapped it and like restarted from ground zero.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they've scrapped it to restart from ground zero, but they haven't scrapped the name Titan.
Yeah, well, and it's just a project name anyways, so.
Yeah, So they're still working.
No reason to scrap it.
Exactly, because I think they're still hiring for next gen unannounced game title. You know. So. It'll be interesting. It's fun looking up and seeing what they're hiring because you're like, oh, so that's what they need. That's what they're really pushing right now. You know, like they still haven't hired a community manager or community rep for Heroes of the Storm. I remember seeing that being up there. I'm like, I'll be the community manager.
Twist your arm.
Like I can deal with community. But there's some cool job openings right now at Blizzard. I'm kind of jealous. Like, why can't I have more experience in the stuff they need me to do? Okay, well, I think we're gonna shut this down. I want to thank everyone for coming again, like usual. We had a lot of fun, and you guys have a great weekend and Happy New Year.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good New Year.
Bye, friends.